Hello, welcome. This is Tea and Tights, the Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling, as featured on bodyslam.net and the John's Podcasting Network. I'm your host, the Great British Jack, who miss Rancher more indeed to most, joined by my usual co-host. He is Big Daddy Dan. And of course, we also have guest co-host, Mr. Impact, Craig, returning. Welcome back, Craig. How you doing?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me on or having me back. A lot's happened in the last couple of weeks. I can't wait to talk about it. It's when British wrestling has no news, it gets all the news. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, a lot of big news. We're going to be covering a lot, such as wrestling in Dubai, the APPG, WOS possibly returning. Nick Aldis may be involved. Then we've got other stuff as well. So, but we'll get to that. As you say, it has been a big week. It's been a massive week, and you've had a great week as well because you just released your interview of Leon Salato, isn't that right?
Yeah, fortunate to have Leon on a couple weeks ago, but released 2 days ago, I believe. But whenever this goes out, a week ago. Yeah, very fun interview. Leon is great. Obviously, just went over to GCW, seemed to have smashed it there. And yeah, it was a very, very fun interview. And also coming soon will be an interview with Kamikaze's rising prospect in George Lydon. So it's all happening, and so many guests to announce, which I'm really excited for people to see.
Awesome. George Lydon, yeah, he's a huge prospect coming up on the I guess the West Midlands team right now, and been a big part of Wrestle Carnival since they've moved over to Coventry. And he's been killing it with Kamikaze, where I believe he's the Kamikaze Live champion right now.
Yep, still a Kamikaze Live champion. Saw him defend it last night against DeReese and MJ Grayson. Banging match. Still the champ.
Awesome. We'll give you a couple of minutes to talk about Kamikaze towards the end. Give us a bit of a rundown of that if you don't mind. That'd be awesome. Yeah. But let's get into it. I mean, well, the main reason you're here, Big Daddy Dan, is the local councillor, so I'm really looking forward to speaking APPG with you. But before we can do that, the first bit of news Monday morning, last Monday, of course, because this is a weekly, just missed us, obviously, talking for the last Brit Wres roundup. Progress announced that they are running a show in Dubai. So I'll let you say something quickly, Dan, and then...
Are they running it? Are they co-promoting it? Or are they supplying talent to it?
I think it's a Progress show. I think they are co-running it alongside WrestleFest, DXB, I believe, a young promotion over in Dubai, been doing some great work. They featured a lot of UK talent before this announcement came. I know Charles Crowley and Mark Andrews were the last people to go out there, but the promotion did have Charlie Morgan and Alex Windsor headline a show. And before that, there were more people that I think Sunshine Machine had been out there previously as well. And I know Spike Trevay had defended the Progress Championship in the promotion prior. So, first of all, let me say that is not me putting any sort of support towards it. I will openly say that, yes, we have had tickets from Progress. I'm not going to lie about that. I'm not going to say that they did give my entire bachelor party VIP seating for the Super Strong Style 16. We love them for it. But we don't do this to get tickets. We don't do what we do to things. We'll always give you an honest opinion. And whilst I do not support what Progress has decided to do, I do not condemn what Progress are doing. It'd be hypocritical for me to support it due to my the fact that I will not support the World Cup in Qatar this year. So obviously I shouldn't really support Progress in going to Dubai. Now, I understand what they're trying to do to work with a young, this progressive company out in Dubai, which looks like a fantastic promotion. Listed what they have been doing recently. I don't believe in the argument, well, they didn't think of the Progress fans that are of the LGBT because of Dubai's rules about that. I don't think they were thinking of any British fan. I really don't think when you've announced a show in 4 weeks in Dubai that they really expected many British people to go, oh, you know what? I'm going to pop over to Dubai for a weekend just to see progress. You know, I find that difficult to really believe. So what, in my opinion, there are burgeoning markets with great progressive companies all across Europe right now. Passion Pro in Hungary, Body Slam in Denmark, Body Zoy in Belgium, APC Catch in France, Rise in France. Could they not have put on a show in amongst these European promotions? And guess what? On 4 weeks' notice, people might be able to go, hey, you know what? It's in France. I'll jump on the Eurostar, get back the next day, and the British fans would be able to attend. But I don't think this was ever intended for British fans to actually go watch. But, you know, while I do not support it, I do not condemn it either. They are just trying to work with the promotion that are progressive, and it helps give these guys more exposure, and more exposure could help get these guys out of Dubai. So on that front is the reason I do not condemn it while I do not support it. Any further comment on that, Big Daddy Dan?
Yeah, it's difficult. United Arab Emirates is a very popular tourist destination, and people do travel there from all over the world. It does make a lot of sense to go to a company that is in a high value state and increase your company's reputation in a high value area. The United Arab Emirates has very, I'm not going to say draconian, has very different rules on homosexuality to pretty much the entire Western world. And I disagree with them massively. I really, really do. Progress, I have no problems with them holding this show for exactly the same reasons you said. My issue is I do think they've made a massive mistake in their communications. The way they have spoken to people that have spoken out about this isn't great. Now, there are certain wrestlers that have spoken out about this who deserve to be spoken to by Progress, especially when they've had their own rights mentioned by Progress. However, there's always the group on Twitter that are going to bash Progress for no reason because of stuff that's happened in history that has got nothing to do with the current Progress roster, that has got nothing to do with the current Progress management, and they will always just beat Progress with a stick.
They've become an easy target.
They have, and unfortunately, at the moment, Progress have left themselves open to more of this abuse because of the way they have reacted. So I'd say Progress, sort your comms out, sort your wording out, make reasons better known, but keep progressing and keep trying to let people progress and work forwards, which is what I genuinely believe they think they're doing with this show.
Yeah, a shorter statement that just read, we are working with a progressive young promotion, would have been better than the big, long list of look at what we've done, which unfortunately did upset more people, as you say, and rightfully those people should be. Craig, any thoughts on this?
I mean, it is such a layered topic. It's so much to unpack when it comes to what's going on for Progress going over to Dubai. Obviously, politically, there's a whole other thing as well. I mean, my standpoint on it is I can kind of see where both sides are coming from on it, you know. But are these reasons Progress are giving genuine, or is it just to please people? I honestly don't know. You know, it's obviously not the first time a company's gone to the UAE. TNA wrestled there a few years ago. They had a women's main event. Obviously, it is just so. Like I said, it's very layered. I mean, I don't disagree with. I understand Progress's reasons. I understand the reasons people are fuming with it.
Yeah.
I can completely see both sides. I just obviously their beliefs are obviously completely different to like Dan mentioned so many other countries around the world, but it's one of these things where if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen unless fans are that furious that they force Progress to stop the show, which I don't see happening.
No.
It's gonna happen, and if people want to boycott Progress, boycott it in because that's your truth. That's what you believe. You know, no one can tell you any different. I mean, I assume the financial side of the stuff is a big incentive for Progress. I mean, I imagine it will be a fair payout for this show, like a lot of companies get, like a lot of people get for going over to the UAE. And so I think I can't really say much more on other than Progress what going on the show. If that's what you think is right, you know, Progress has to start somewhere, and if it can start now, I don't necessarily 100% think it will, but if it's a small step in making progress, go for it. But if people of the belief that this show shouldn't be happening, want to no longer attend Progress, are finished with Progress as a company, again, I can understand why they see it that way. It's such a layered topic. I think, like I said, both sides have points to it, and if that's what you believe, that's how you feel, then no one can tell you you're wrong in how you believe, what you believe, and how you feel.
That's very true. So, I mean, the women's title apparently will be the main event. Progress Championship will also be on the line. Tag Team Championships on the line. And the Atlas Championship is on the line. I think Dan makes a very good point that Progress have become easy targets, sometimes by their own faults, such as possibly something like this. But it's, I think, partly because they're so big in the UK, I guess I've joked oftentimes that they're like the WWE of the UK. People are always going to have something to say about what they're doing.
Yeah.
But what do you think of the timing of TNT Extreme announcing Effie's Big Gay Brunch here in the UK, which will be on the 12th of May, which is apparently during Eurovision, and not that I knew, but I saw it on Twitter. I don't think there was anything malicious in the timing. I know Progress are part owners, but I believe Jay tends to run the main day today whilst those guys are busy mainly with Progress and doing other things above that. So I'm assuming, I'm guessing Effie's Big Gay Brunch has been in talks since GCW versus TNT Extreme, if not longer. So I don't think there was anything malicious to it. I know, yes, the Progress owners are also part owners of TNT Extreme, but we don't know how much their involvement is day to day. And TNT and Progress are two separate companies, two separate promotions. But you excited for Effie's Big Gay Brunch?
Yes. Giving serious contemplation to going along. I'm actually thinking about going up to Liverpool, because when I went up to Liverpool for TNT in September, it was probably the most fun I've had at a live show. I've been to insane, silly shows like Wet Cake Pro Wrestling. I have been to hard, nasty shows like Progress when we had the Cara Noir versus Spike Trivet match. TNT is just fun, and the fans there are awesome. And you combine that with the energy that Effie brings to everything that they do. It's going to be brilliant. The only problem is it's Eurovision that weekend, and if you want to get a hotel, forget about it.
Yeah, prices are going to be jacked up.
Yeah, I'm again like you, Dan. I'm seriously considering making the trip to Liverpool for it. I mean, I'm in the West Midlands, but I think it'd be well worth making it to Liverpool. But like I said, hotels, Eurovision, that's just going to be almost impossible unless you're paying full high-end prices. I mean, thankfully I've got people I can stay with in a little town outside of Liverpool called Runcorn. But getting a taxi from Liverpool to Runcorn, apparently taxi drivers don't go there, so I have to try and figure that one out. But I'm excited for it. It's going to be a banging show because Effie is just great, and it's going to kill it.
And we've got some truly incredible LGBTQT performers. So I think it's going to be, I think you're right. It's just going to be an excellent show. It's going to be a lot of fun and be expensive if you want a hotel, like you say.
I think I'll probably kip in the back of my car.
When is it? May. I've got the Super Strong Style 16 in May, though, so I'm not sure what's going to be for me the bigger one to do. I know I'm doing 16 carat in March, so I was thinking of doing Super Strong Style 16 in May, just to make it big weekends of wrestling rather than just single shows. But look, that wasn't the only big thing in the news in UK wrestling. APPG were holding a meeting. Lots of wrestling names were invited. And apparently lots of wrestling people were left off the list as well. And a few of them were rightfully a bit annoyed that, their invite seemed to lost in the mail.
Right. Okay. Let me just jump in on this one. The point of an all-party political group is to promote, support, and raise awareness of professional wrestling, to work with the industry to improve it and to build confidence, to celebrate British success in professional wrestling. Now, an all-party parliamentary group, an APPG, is an informal cross-party group formed by MPs and members of the House of Lords who share a common interest in a particular policy area. So you are looking at something that is run by Alex Davis-Jones, who's the MP for Labour in Pontypridd, Alex Fletcher, he's the co-chair, he's Conservative MP from Bolsover. Vice chair is Ruth Jones, Labour MP from Newport West. Tonya Antoniazzi is vice chair, she's Labour from Gower. Paul Bristow, vice chair, he's Conservative from Peterborough. And Christian Wakeford, vice chair, he's a Labour MP from Bury South. You have got there a large number of MPs. A couple of them we know are genuine fans that want to see an improvement in British wrestling. A number of them have been put on the APPG because when you are an MP, you have to sit on certain number of things to be supportive. They probably don't know that much about the British wrestling scene yet. They will be learning, and that's actually really useful because they're going to be coming in blind. They're going to be able to be shown what can be improved, what can move forwards, and they're going to be able to give ideas that are going to be different from everybody else. Now, a lot of people that run companies say they haven't been invited. How many wrestling companies are there in the UK, Andy?
There's over 100 active, and it's continuously grows and decreases and grows and decreases as time passes on.
If you want to go along, let them know, and they will invite you. I guarantee that, no matter who you are, if you want to go along, let them know, they will invite you. I remember messaging 2 days before the first press conference, being given a press pass to come along. And I'm not exactly massively known in the industry. I'm willing to admit this. the whole point of the APPG is to improve things for British wrestling. So don't start knocking it before it's had a chance to work, okay?
Yeah.
It's not there to be a voice for progress or a voice for Rev Pro or a voice for WWE. It's not. That is completely wrong. Listen to what they're saying, get involved, and let's make British wrestling a better, safer place for everybody involved.
Indeed. Now, Pro Wrestling East actually did a very good job of providing a thread of tweets to kind of somewhat minutes of what was discussed, so everybody could see for a bit of clarity, which I think was absolutely fantastic. So well done, Pro Wrestling East, for this. So if I quickly run down this, and then we'll discuss. So wrestling officially needs to be classed as something, be that art or sports. I'd say art personally. So that was Pro Wrestling East. I say sport. Dan says art. What do you say, Craig?
I mean, it is obviously a difficult one, but given the cardiovascular side of it, I think sport, for me personally, given the amount of energy that has to go into it, the cardiovascular fit, I'd say sport.
Yeah, I don't think I like
I
sports.
have no arguments with that whatsoever at all.
I think in some ways you could classify, I think we've said it before, so like the training could maybe go somewhere towards like martial arts. And we need to look at, you know, what coaches have to go through to become a coach in martial arts, and make sure that that's somewhat applied to wrestling. I think, you know, as much as I like to say it's a sport, it is, you know, it is art, it is entertainment when it comes to the actual fabricated storylines and fixed results. So yeah, there needs to be kind of like a cross, like in schools it needs to be considered a sport.
Yes.
In action it kind of needs to be considered more like a show, theater, art in that regard. So it is sports entertainment to still WWE. See, by classifying it as something will allow for access to funding, e.g. Arts Council. The APPG is not, and has stated they do not intend to form a governmental body. Now, governmental bodies is something we regularly discuss on this, and it's something I would happily love to see happen in the UK. I wouldn't even care if there are 2 to 3 different, and they're all, you know, run, but as long as they run under some ways of promotions going, no, you guys aren't fit to be running shows. And we can say, don't work with them, work with just the banners under our things. But of course, you do need promotions to still work together. And I believe it is promoters that need to come together and form some sort of council. Council of wrestling promotions and promoters. Wrestling
Some
needs...
form of wrestling association.
Yes.
Maybe a national one.
Exactly. An NWA. But wrestling needs to be willing to look at other operational inspiration from outside itself, be that live music industry, rugby, ballet, whatever. There are transferable skills in this field. Yes, agreeable. Promoters need to feel able to discuss things with one another and not see each other as rivals and competition, such as sharing details of problematic individuals. Well, that's just got to be a must. And, you know, to out these type of people. I think we all agree that the toxicity in wrestling starts at training schools. And if we are to stand a chance to rid wrestling of these negative traits, we need to ensure training schools are run by the right people, which ties into the earlier point about wrestling officially being classified as something. For instance, if wrestling was considered alongside dance, maybe there could be some sort of accreditation for wrestling schools. Yeah, again, 100%. this is something that does need to happen right now. And it's kind of how does it happen? So, Dan, how does it happen?
It's bloody difficult. I would take equity as the model to use. Equity are a completely separate independent body that any theatre group goes through to make sure that things are held to account. They set standards within the industry which are then followed to make sure that people are being protected, supported, taught, all in the right possible way. If we can find a version of equity for British wrestling, that way it won't affect who's promoting, it will only affect the way that they are asked to promote. It won't mean that a company puts more money in, therefore they are considered more important and have a bigger say in things. It won't mean if two shows are running on the same day, one company will be suggested to the wrestler to go to than another company. You need to have a separate entity such as equity that will oversee everybody without having control over anybody, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Well, I think you have to stay with equity, but equity have got to work alongside some sort of council, some sort of governing body.
Yeah.
And what they probably need to be is voted on who should be the heads of council.
That I disagree on, because you would then have too many people with vested interests being voted in. Having it truly independent, I personally feel, would actually be of benefit. But that's a personal opinion coming from somebody that has a little bit of experience in local politics, but actually shitloads of experience in local politics, but a little bit of experience in politics at the next level. And very little experience in professional wrestling, apart from being able to attend it and enjoy it.
But the problem with that is it needs to be volunteered, but that needs to be funded. Now,
Yes.
One of the arguments from a promoter, I'm not going to name anyone, but they said that they do worry about paying in to some sort of governing body. But I guess that happens in every sport, you know. I know the FA also pay the Premier League teams, but Premier League teams also have to pay for something like that. What do you kind of see of this, Craig?
Again, it's another layered topic. Obviously, you know, I've seen the companies who weren't invited being frustrated with not being invited to it. I haven't seen a lot of what the APPG do. But when I heard what they were doing when they first started up, and thought, yeah, okay, this is what's been needed for quite some time. Wrestling has, particularly British wrestling's, you know, there's been a lot of interesting characters in, shall we say. So which was what we thought really was the original aim, was to clear out the bad people from British wrestling. Obviously, you know, which for the most part has been done. I'm not have no political standpoint anyway, but I feel like it can be a good thing. Again, if like anything, if it's done the right way, it can be really great. In terms of what should happen, obviously in the States they've got the local state athletic commission, which I know each state commission is different depending on state. Like for instance, in New York, you can't start a show without an ambulance being a venue, which should be happening all over the place.
Yes.
Then you go for
You can't have anyone under the age of 18.
In most states, the pile driver is banned.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about finding the balance. Maybe it should be counted as different, like station. Maybe it should be counted as having the same what goes on with the promotions. I'm just trying to. I have no idea. Go ahead, Dan.
If I can just jump in there, any wrestling show that is put on has to have a license from their county council to put the show on. So you have to agree to certain terms, and those terms are decided by each individual county. And unfortunately, as far as licensing goes, most licensing officers will probably see wrestling as the theatrical entertainment side of things, so probably won't be putting in the kind of rules that we would hope for and need. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research into what our county suggests for licensing of wrestling shows. I'm actually the chair of licensing for our district, but that's different from county.
Yeah, I feel like the accreditation for schools has got to be a must. But again, it's kind of how do we go about that? You know, wrestling schools have been around for forever. There's lots of wrestling teachers out there. How do we decide which one is the right one? And do we dare say, well, every model has to be the same? Because again, you've got guys like Cara Noir, Tom Dawkins, where in Playground, which can focus a bit more on the gymnastic side of it. You've got somebody like Kev Lloyd who will want to train you more on the catch pro wrestling side of it. You'll have someone like Nathan Cruz over at Pro Wrestling Eve probably going for the more theatrical side of it. It's again, how do you go about separating? You know, every school's got to have their own way of teaching, because we've got to allow students to have as much variety in wrestling as possible.
I agree, but then you want to be looking at things like having checks done on the trainers, insisting that first aid rules are in place, insisting that insurances are in place, insisting that there are certain levels of equipment quality that are used, things like that. That's what's needed. It's not a case to say you have to teach to this number of back rolls and this number of front flips before you can move on to this number of headlocks. No, it's just ensuring the safety aspects are there, and those aspects can be quantified and applied. Yeah.
As you say, they're going to be teachers who will teach you how to do the collar and elbow tie up properly and the go behind and the snap there. And then there'll be guys that will teach you more about how to use your skills, like as a gymnast or somebody who's agility or somebody who's a big man. So they all work differently. So we need to allow schools to obviously have their own unique selling points. And we would recommend to guys out there to don't stick with one trainer. Go out and learn as much as you can. Go work with as many different people as you can and put it all together. A bit like Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do. Be like water. Be moldable.
Just going to go off on a complete tangent.
Go for it.
Go on to Disney Plus and watch the 30 for 30 on Bruce Lee, the Be Like Water one. It is absolutely phenomenal. Sorry, there you go.
No problem, yeah. As I say, I think governing body is a must. I like your idea of being an outside governing body rather than having promoters run it. But as you say, which promotions are going to be prepared to pay into it? Will promotions that don't pay into it still be able to run shows? Or will these guys be able to maybe speak to local councils and say, well, look, we've asked them, we've told them what their things are, they're not meeting our standards, we don't think they should be able to run a show. There are a lot of companies. I think we could do with less companies. I will honestly admit that. I'll say that I think sometimes there are too many promotions. I think there would be better if there were less promotions, and it would be better if those promotions that are left paid more. And that's my state on that.
Fair enough.
But I think the problem is with a lot of the problem is you've got so many of the rosters are very much the same. and then you've got people who are booked differently on different shows. And I think this kind of stops people from becoming megastars. Because if you don't have the one out and out guy and everyone's the guy, then nobody's the guy. It's only the guy in your promotion. It's not the guy in British wrestling.
So are you suggesting that someone should be going around going, yeah, I can't be beaten?
Yeah. Do.
That person's going to have a rather large set on them.
It certainly is. But yeah, if you've got Progress who books, let's say, Kara Noir as that champion, but then he goes over to North Wrestling, gets... I don't know. I feel like we need less and people need to be booked bigger. We need to make superstars.
Warren Banks, in my opinion, was right on the verge of that prior to his injury. He was being pushed perfectly by every company he was at. I can't wait for Warren Banks to come back in 2023.
We miss you, Banks. Come back soon. Anyway, should we move on from the APPG? I think we've probably covered as much as we can. As North mentioned, this was not intended to be a closed shop. If you weren't invited to this one and would like to be invited to future conferences, it seemed likely that they will occur, so there should be more in the future. I'd recommend just sending an APPG an email and introducing yourself. Tell you what, Dan, should we just start the governing body, me and you, and get people to start paying into us?
I think the Tea and Tights governing body of British wrestling has got a huge amount of potential. I think we might struggle to persuade some of the companies, although, I mean, we do have a big advantage to start with. You're up north, I'm down south. We have coverage of the UK. I think it could work.
I think we know the guys. I think we can make it.
I think if you give us 50p and a packet of grapes, we should probably be up for it.
Hot dog and a handshake. WOS is possibly returning. The world of sports, of course, this is what British wrestling was built on, the world of sports, and they had governing bodies back in the day, joint wrestling promotions, and there were at least 2 to 3 other
All-Star.
All-Star at the time. So separate governing bodies can exist, and I think this may be the way to go, to have separate governing bodies, possibly. But what do you guys think of WS returning? Did you watch it when it returned last time? What did you think of the last one?
I'm excited for it. I did catch the last series. Obviously it was ITV. They had a lot of issues when it came to presenting it and the angles, the camera work. It was just, it didn't feel great, but the stars they had, I mean, if you were already familiar with British scene and wrestling in general, you knew the names they had on that show. You knew the likes of Will Ospreay, Douglas Williams, Kaylee Ray, Viper, so many others. So I enjoyed it. I mean, they had Moose popped up for an episode, which again was obviously a great thing. If it comes back, I think again it can be a great thing for the British wrestling scene because it is so different now to how it was then. Even though it's only been 2018 was the last show, I think it was around 2018.
Yeah,
so 4 years, but the scene has changed a lot. I mean, the people you can add to that show now, you've got the likes of DeReese, Robbie X can continue. Lana Austin. There's so many people they can put on that show. So I'm in favor. And if Aldis and Mickey James have some saying it, be great. I know they were originally supposed to be involved when TNA.
I think we've just
still partners in the days. Oh, we're back.
Yes, you're back.
My Wi-Fi is awful. As I was saying, WOS have worked with TNA Impact in the past. Jeff Jarrett was an original partner in it. So if that's where they go again, I'm more happy. But Aldis and James being involved, I think could be really good. Obviously, Barrett was in, Stu Bennett was in charge last time, and that's a name. You need that name to move it, keep it in the eyes of people's eyes and ears. I'm excited if it does have return. I think it should.
Dan?
I think that the way it can stand out is if it becomes a weekly show. At the moment, British wrestling's independent scene does monthly or bi-monthly shows. The way that World of Sport can stand out is if it does do a weekly show. Now, whether that be, as they've discussed, I believe, doing it as a studio-based show, much like was done during lockdown with the ICW Fight Club and the Progress shows. That I'm fine with. I think it's great.
I really love the ICW Fight Club stuff, and they're still doing it now, and I think it's good.
The difference is you're going to be relying heavily on storylines, and that again can only be a good thing for the talent because it gives them a different show, a variety to be giving them experience, which is great. The names that are being thrown around at the moment of Nick Aldis and Mickey James, two of the best in the world. It's great to have those names thrown around, but you could say that you've approached anyone. I could approach somebody to start a program. It's quite easy to approach someone.
Yes.
Whether they've told you to F off or not afterwards is a different matter. SoCal Val was one of the main commentators. Love SoCal Val.
Out. Yep.
She's based in the UK, lives over in Milton Keynes.
Yep. Doing the Progress commentary right now.
She is. Yep. Get her involved. I think it'd be a great thing for British wrestling, but it needs to stand out. It needs to be independent. Go for weekly. Go for storylines.
Don't be a season either. Be just a whole year. Don't be like, oh, this is our season climax.
It might have to be to start with because of financing.
Yeah. Now, yeah, they did have some good stars. What happened to Justin Sizem? I remember he made a tweet about Trent Seven and the NXT UK guys, and then ever since then, I think he's just disappeared. Where is Justin Sizem gone? Because he was. I thought he was great. I thought that his part with Rampage was the best part about WOS. I think they struggled maybe in the middle card. He had that god awful mask that made me think he was Scottish.
I mean, back onto Justin Sizem quick. The last time I was with Justin Sizem was Impact versus the UK, where he teamed with Eddie Edwards taking on Nathan Cruz and Moose at Impact versus the UK at MediaCon. That's the last time I'd ever seen anything from Justin Sizem, and the odd appearance where he had long hair on NGW.
I think he's part of Mythos with Clementine and Crowley. I think he does.
Not anymore, he's not.
No, not even more. Not even on that anyway. Are you searching?
No, because Clementine is gone.
Yes, yeah, we'll definitely talk about that very shortly. Yeah, I would like. Should it be for me? If a wrestling should be on TV, it feels it should be on Channel 4, not ITV. I think Channel 4 could probably do wrestling better.
They could. Channel 5 obviously has got NXT, well, had NXT UK and has WWE to an extent. I think Channel 4 would be a good home for it.
On the ITV thing, do you think if ITV were fully in charge of it, do you reckon it could help introduce people to the AEW or help AEW get on UK TV? Do you reckon that could be a thing? If they come back, would you reckon they would work with the AEW to co-promote?
I think if WS could do well on ITV, if it can get into a slotted time spot, keep its spot, I think an evening show, later evening, would be better than the early afternoon, or well, late afternoon shows. I think more of a 7 p.m., possibly 9 p.m. show. I can understand they were trying to attract the kids as well, because, to make big stars in wrestling, you need to have 30,000 children screaming for John Cena, and you kind of need us. You do need to aim at somewhat of a younger market. They're the ones that the parents will buy the t-shirts, buy the toys for. I'd love to see it. I thought I was disappointed to hear it fell apart last time. I think Nick Aldis, the way he helped NWA, I feel he could do really well with something with WOS. We're going to quickly do a few more stories, but just before that, I'm going to kick it to me to do my review of WXW's Drive of Champions, and then we'll come right back to me. So, yes, as I just said, I am here to give my rundown of WXW's Drive of Champions, which took place on the 12th of November and was made available last week. I think it was around the 16th. But anyway, let's kick it off. Lawrence Roman and Michael Knight started the show. It was a fantastic opening match. Goes just over 10 minutes or so. Lawrence Roman picked up another big win. He's really benefited from being in the Amboss stable, and he's picked up some big wins. And this is the second win over one Michael Knight, the German highlight, who was fantastic in this performance. We had the WXW women's title match next, just under 10 minutes, but much longer than their previous match. This was Allison versus Baby Allison. Allison, the new champion, defending against the former champion. Their match during the World Tag Team Festival was very short, quite surprising, took a lot of people off guard. But it was all part of the story of Baby Allison being distracted by what was happening with a Maggot and Uhura, which I'll get into a little bit more. This was by far, in my opinion, Baby Allison's best match. I don't think it was Alice Inc.'s best match, but I definitely agree that this was Baby Allison's best match. And the two women really put on a great performance here. An excellent match. Tag team match was Elijah Blum and Peter Tahani versus Amboss's Icarus and Robert Dreisker. This has been an ongoing saga between Peter Tahani and Amboss, especially Icarus and Dover, who of course his trainers, and then there's Robert Dreisker as well. It was another strong match. Peter Tahani starts the match hot. Blum tags him. Blum then Elijah Blum then takes a lot of the heat from Amboss. Peter Tahani gets back into the match, absolutely explodes. Again, just shy of 15 minutes, I would have thought. Really great match. And Peter Tahani continues to shine so much, especially in this current role that he is fighting against Amboss. Axel Tisca and Cara Noir are up next. They recently had a match back to Roots, I believe. It might have been Dead End, actually. But in the match, Cara Noir picked up a great victory, choking out Axel Tisca. This was another superb match by both Tisca and Cara Noir. 15 minutes-ish, with Tisca coming out with the win. Big win for Tisca. He seems a bit lost, I'll be honest, in WXW at the moment. Needs to find some footing, get himself back into championship contention. A quick singles match, Ender Kara versus Fast Time Mudo. God damn, I love this match. This was so good. 10 minutes-ish. Fast Time Mudo and Ender Kara, just brilliant. You can see Ender Kara's speed and his strikes was just superb, but he couldn't match up to Fast Time Mudo's size and strikes, with Mudo coming out the victor after one of the best blackout kicks you'll ever see, which is a spinning roundhouse kick, as Ender Kara was performing a springboard. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, great match. It was finally the WXW Unified World Championship match. The huge storyline is Levaniel's neck has been troubling for a long time. There was a video release of him training where he suffered again with his neck, and that Norman Harris took this opportunity and said Levaniel had to take his shot after winning the Shotgun to the Championship. He had a title shot in the bag, which he said he would take at the anniversary show later in December. However, with Norman Harris, the sporting director, seeing Levaniel struggling with his neck injury. He said he had to take it now and he had to face Tristan Archer in the WX Unified Championship match. This is all about story. A flash 5 minutes worth of action, which was really good until Tassilo Jung called a no contest, worried about Levaniel's injury. This is definitely 100% all story, and it's probably going to build to Levaniel again challenging at the anniversary show, which will be full circle because Levaniel first earned the right to challenge for the championship at the anniversary show last year when he won a 6-man ladder match. He eventually took that shot against, at the time, champion Axel Tiska. However, before the match kicked off, he was attacked by Tristan Archer. And this is actually what sets off Levaniel's bad neck. So, you know, this whole story is going for an entire year. And it has been superb. I cannot wait for Levaniel to hold the title above his head at some point, whether it be the anniversary, whether it be some point next year. The fans love him. I love him. He deserves it. He's been great. Tristan Archer has been a phenomenal WXW Unified World Champion. And it'll be sad to see him eventually lose the title, but I really hope that come the anniversary, we get the climax, and Levaniel finally wins the title. It's going to be superb. Then it was the World Tag Team title main event, a triple threat tag team match with the Frenchadors, the champions, Ayo Blanc and Senza Volta, against Pretty Bastard, Ahura and Maga, and Rot and Flot, Michael Schecklenberg and Nikita Charisma. Excellent match. You know, I don't normally like these triple threat tag team match or fatal 4-way tag team matches. I think they're usually always confusing, and there was certainly a level of confusion in this match via that. It kind of started out with Pretty Bastards and the Frenchadors going back and forth on each other, both tag out. It was Ahura, Volta started, then it changed to Maga and Blanc, but Schecklenberg tacked himself in from Maga, and Pretty Bastards are stuck on the apron for ages. After about 7 minutes or so, it just, you know, collapses, as these type of matches do, but it kind of reorganized itself before collapsing once again towards the end. It's about 20 minutes. I was so impressed with Ahura in this match. He was absolutely phenomenal. There's something weird about him, much like with Maga, but again, just a totally different. Together, it's such a weird pairing, but it works so well, which I'm going to get onto it. Eventually, the Frenchadors came away with the win, despite Ahura trying to use the nefarious tactics, including sticking the thumb in Blanc's eyes before hitting a low blow on Senza Volta. Eventually, it's all backfires. Blanc hits the Tombstone Power Driver. Senza Volta hits the double jump moonsault. Great. Schecklenberg and Nikita Charisma, they played their parts in this very well, providing a lot of the heat. They, you know, isolated the Frenchadors, keeping the Pretty Bastards out of the match for a long time. They did their job really well, but it was really all about the Bastards and the Frenchadors, and it all comes down to really being all about the Bastards, the Pretty Bastards, Maga and Ahura. Because after the match, you know, Ahura and Maga, they shake hands, they hug, they're in Frankfurt, their hometown, the crowd's going nuts for both of them. And as they go to leave, Maga goes to pick up his WXW Shotgun Championship, which is a title Ahura won but never lost when he got suspended. Ahura stood on the belt, and Maga's kind of like, what's going on? And then Ahura, boom, big knee to the face, lays out Maga. He walks off, the crowd's booing. I'm joking, I'm not crying, but I love the Pretty Bastards. I think they're a phenomenal team, and it is very much a shame to see that the Bastards have to split. love to see them reunite at one point. But Maggot's on this amazing singles run right now. And this could really kickstart an amazing Uhura run as well. Because as for in-ring talent, Uhura is probably honestly a little bit better than Manga's in-ring talent. Manga is certainly much more of a personality, although Uhura also has this great personality, little leather pants shorts that he wears. It was a great match. This was a fantastic show. It was clear, coherent storytelling throughout the show, in the build up to the shows via the We Love Wrestling shows that they have. If you want coherent storytelling, great matches that don't overstay their welcomes, WXW is delivering each time right now. And I'm going to give this my personal score of 4 sugars. Now, back to the main show, where, of course, we're talking politics. Right, we're back. And so we were on about Nick Aldis. He's going to be back in the UK. He's going to be part of the Hammerlock Andre Barker memorial show, their 3rd memorial show for Andre Barker. So yeah, Nick Aldis can be in the UK anyway at some point next year. Looking forward to that.
Yes, big Nick Aldis fan. Have been since 2012. I think he's done such a great job of, obviously, because coming from TNA, when that whole debacle with TNA, he's done a great job to step away from Magnus and become Nick Aldis and be a staple of British wrestling and a huge name and a huge boost to British wrestling as a whole. So I'm excited to see Nick Aldis back in the UK. It's been a minute, so I'm excited for it.
Of course.
I would agree and disagree with you on being a staple of the British wrestling scene, because he hasn't really done bugger all over here recently. He was here a couple of months back for the Doncaster show, and he has promoted the UK really, really well. So yeah, glad to have him back.
And of course, I've completely lost what I was going to say now. Nick Aldis, yeah, I've completely lost it.
British Invasion?
British, no.
That god-awful mask he wore when he started in TNA?
That's closer to it. Of course, Gladiators is returning next year. He could return to being Oblivion.
He could return to do commentary.
He could return to do commentary for Gladiators. That could be really interesting. So, what do we reckon? Nick Aldis for Gladiators 3.0.
Yeah.
It's the BBC that's got it this year, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be BBC this time around. It's gone from ITV to Sky One to the BBC. Do you reckon there's going to be any wrestlers involved?
Yes, because they are looking for overtly strong and muscular people that can be entertaining and good on camera.
That's weird. I bet Justin Sizen's going to turn up as a gladiator.
Well, he's an actor and stuntman now. I've Googled him. All right, hold on a minute. I'm going to throw one at you each. British wrestler that you want to see on Gladiators. Go.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Shall we do one male and one female as well?
Yep, go for it.
Makes it even harder.
Yeah.
Make it easier, does it? Well, Shreddy. He looks like a beast. He really, really does. He's in the Mr. Universe tournament for bodybuilding. And he's extremely athletic for the mass and muscle that he really carries. Good cardio on him for, again, the mass and muscle that he does carry. I think he's one of the guys that really carries himself really well. On the women's side, Lana. She'd just be amazing. Or Nina Samuels, because, again, show presence.
Everybody needs more Nina.
Very true. I'd probably go with Dan Maloney. I think he'd do pretty well at that.
Cheers.
And I'd say Mariah May. I think she could do very well on that. Because a lot of them are antagonists. Well, they're all antagonists. I think Mariah May could do that very well, and she's no slouch either. So I go dabbling in Mariah May.
And they've got the acting chops, haven't they?
Yeah.
They were both in that fantastic ITV comedy show.
Dan,
Brilliant.
your two picks then.
Adam Maxted. He's got the look. He's got the ability. Brilliant, brilliant person. And Heidi Katrina. I think she would be a great, intimidating gladiator. I think she'd be absolutely brilliant.
She's an absolute Amazon. She truly is. So, yeah, I like that. There we go. We'll have to clip that and put that one out. Last time we had you on, Craig. We talked about Joe Hendry challenging for the Digital Media Championship.
Yes.
We believed in Joe Hendry, and it came true.
Yeah, I was buzzing. I knew I kind of had a feeling he was going to win it based on Brian Myers going for the tag team titles, Matt Cardona at Overdrive. And yeah, the savior of the comment section has arrived.
Did you watch? I'm assuming you watched, obviously, you guys over at the Talking Horse. What was the match like?
Very good for an opening contest. It was around the 10-minute mark. Some shenanigans between Heath and Rhino and Matt Cardona. But yeah, it was a very good match. Joe Hendry is already getting over massively with his character. And I'm super excited because the Digital Media Championship, a lot of people would have wondered whether it could be our IC title, if you like. And I think with Joe Hendry, and in general, Brian Myers did such a great job of being Digital Media Champion. Now it's on Joe Hendry. Obviously, the belt helps him a little bit as well, but I think he can help the belt just being Joe Hendry.
From an outsider's point of view, not watching much Impact, I'd always assumed that was more like their 24/7 belt than their Intercontinental belt.
I think that's how a lot of people saw it at first. Yeah, because it was defended only on YouTube, digital media exclusive matches. But when Matt Cardona picked it up, after obviously he was only the second champion, but when Cardona picked it up and just was defending it everywhere and carrying it with him everywhere, it helped it a lot. I know a lot of people starting to compare it with that awful title we had. I can't remember. There's been a few, but what is it? MMA rounds. I forget what it's called, which is on me. But the Digital Media Championship now it can help people, and yeah, I think it can. The prestigiousness can be built, and to that level of the DMC. Obviously, never be the X Division title, but it can be because World Title and X Division are kind of on the same level, but
it's for the guys that don't really fit the X Division model, but it's a stepping stone for the guys that don't fit that X Division model, such as Joe Hendry, because the X Division is still kind of a lightweight, cruiserweight, high flying, although some guys aren't, but mainly. Jamie Hayter, of course, became the AEW Women's Champion. Congratulations, Jamie Hayter. None of us watched it though, did we?
No, I was DJing. I am so happy that AEW listened to the fans. Jamie Hayter's popularity has grown naturally. So naturally because she's a heel. People have just understood and respected what a brilliant, brilliant wrestler she is. And they wanted it. Tony Khan has listened. Jamie Hayter is our champion.
Yeah, I've heard some people say that the match with Tony Storm was definitely one of the better matches of the night. So that's always good to hear when you talk. But two amazing performances, Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter, and so good to see him absolutely killing it in AEW. Soraya, of course, made her in-ring return as well. That was fantastic to see, and we waited a week for more news on AEW coming to the UK, and they're coming to London. That's all the extra information they gave us. Would either of you be going to the AEW show if it was in London?
I'm obviously London is just a pain to get to from where I am. It's like 5 hours by coach, 7 hours by train. It's and plus it does kind of frustrate me when a wrestling company from the States comes over to London. Like there aren't any other major cities in the UK like Manchester, like Cardiff, like Glasgow. You know,
Birmingham.
it's always it all seems to be London,
Big hubs.
which is I understand it in some aspects but
Clash at the castle.
Uh,
yeah, there's that.
but that was because it was a massive stadium show. They could have gained extra. They could have had an extra couple of 20,000 now if they had gone to Wembley. So you know they missed out for not doing it.
The thing is, London has so many million people living there. It has a bigger catchment. It has a bigger value.
Mm.
Yes, I can understand that it sucks that there isn't that kind of variety spread across the UK. But at the end of the day, it is a business. Businesses are there to make money. You're going to make more money in London. And I only live 30 minutes train ride away.
3 hours on the train for me. I think I can get. No, wait, that can't be right. I'd say probably 4 to 5 hours, including stops if I'm going from each station. But honestly, it's easier to go north to south for me than it is to actually go east to west. That's bloody almost impossible to go from east to bloody west. So shows such in Manchester and Liverpool aren't always that easy for me to get to, which is why I typically have to get a hotel if I go to their shows.
One thing I mentioned last time, Craig, about Craven Cottage was the capacity was 20,000. I think Impact have sold more than that when they've done Wembley Arena, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean Wembley Arena, they sold out every time they came over. Apart from the last year, because it was like 2017. It was just a bad year for company in general. But when Impact TNA came over here, they also sell the same venues as WWE did. It was a massive market, but yeah, I think it's 30,000 to 40,000 in Wembley Arena, around that. I think it's 20,000 in the stands, but also you had in the floor. So yeah, it did big numbers here.
Yeah, can't wait for AEW to come to the UK. So our favorite topic, Dan, it is Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega.
The best in the world.
It's gonna happen. Yeah, I know Will Ospreay is the best in the world. It's gonna happen at Wrestle Kingdom on the 4th of January for the US Championship. The question is, guys, how many stars is Dave Meltzer gonna give it? Go on. I want how many stars is Dave Meltzer going to give Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega? 3?
3.
3 stars?
3 stars.
I mean, it's really the 5-star means bug all anymore. Given that it's given 7.5 or 8, whatever it's given in the past. Fortunately, I really have no interest in this matchup. I've never been a big Kenny Omega fan. I've never understood the hype, but that's just me. I know that's just me. But we'll probably give it 10, 15 because in Tokyo Dome.
I'm going
to the extras for the Tokyo Dome, of course.
Yeah.
I think he will break the scale. He's going to give it 8 stars. He's going to get the 3 stars you mentioned plus the 5 stars that it's going to be 8 stars. He's already marked it. He's not even going to watch it. He's just gone 8 stars. Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega. It's going to be a great match. I'm really, really looking for as much as I don't think Kenny Omega has ever been the best in the world. I've always believed he is in the top 10 of the world. I've never believed he's been the best of the world. I believe him versus Will Ospreay will be one of the matches of a defining generation. I know a lot of people said it's like Rock and Austin, but to be honest, given the fact that they're 10 years difference between the two, it's more like John Cena versus The Rock.
Except both of these guys are better wrestlers.
Much better wrestlers.
But Kenny's better on the microphone. Now, I said 3 stars for a reason.
You don't think they're going to clash?
No, I think they're going to have probably an amazing match. But I think this is going to be like back in the old days when Sabu finally fought Mick Foley for the first time. People were expecting somebody to die in that match. Okay, this was a dream match that people had wanted to see. It was impossible to live up to the expectation. Omega versus Ospreay should be the greatest. I mean, it really, really should. It should be absolutely phenomenal. But people have built it and built it and built it so much. Can they live up to it?
Yeah, and you know, can Kenny Omega actually keep pace with Will Ospreay? Isn't that right, Craig?
Yeah, I have no real interest in this match. When Omega was an Impact, I liked it because it brought the eyes, but I wasn't that interested.
I'm gonna have to reinstate my NJPW world just for Wrestle Kingdom. It's gonna have to be done. It's gonna be a once in a lifetime match, and to be honest, don't pay for Fight pay-per-view. Just sign up to bloody New Japan World. It'll cost you $9.99, not bloody 30 quid. The Eve Championship, Pro Wrestling Eve Championship, is going to be on the line next week at Tokyo Joshi Pro. Millie McKenzie versus Miyu Yamashita should be an absolute cracking match. I love both of these girls. This is the 3rd time these two are going to be facing each other this year. Millie beat her in Spain, but Miyu beat her in Pro Wrestling Eve very recently. It's going to be a great match. And what do you guys think? Just promote that. Go watch that match. It's going to be on Wrestle Universe. Before you go then, Craig,
just
sorry.
Just very quickly,
Yep.
I know it's not British, but can we also just say congratulations to Kairi for becoming the first New Japan Women's Champion?
Yep, the first ever IWGP Women's Champion. Yeah, congratulations, Kairi Sane. I always love Kairi. And yeah, let's get some British wrestlers over to Stardom soon, please.
Yes.
They're doing it at TJPW. I know Stardom have been more only using people under contract recently, so they need to start bringing in some of the British talent now, I think. Sorry, yes, Craig, you're at Kamikaze Live. Do you want to just give some quick thoughts on what you thought of it and who stood out?
Yeah, so obviously, I went to Kamikaze Live Pro Live 30 last night, Sunday, yes. I don't know what day of the week it is. Yeah, I mean, card was like Malat Darius versus George Flyden versus MJ Grayson for the Kamikaze Pro Live title. Opened the show, excellent. You had Simon Hill on commentary, which again, was excellent.
Hill. Yeah.
Great dude, really one of the best in the country right now. For me, the match of the night was Lucia Lee versus Gaia Hawks, and it had an excellent match. Gaia Hawks was supposed to be the
we've lost him
was too good. It was fantastic.
We lost you a sec there. He's the guy from Thailand. It's OWE he's been competing for very recently, isn't it?
Yeah, he was excellent. It was very difficult to beat him because he was so good at what he did. And Lucia Lee is, like I said last time I was on, Lucia Lee is going to be one to watch next year.
Yeah, big good old bruiser. That
guy name of Nate Riley had his first ever Pro Live match, and against Luke Douglas. And again, Luke Douglas chopped the soul out of him. But Nate Riley did very, very well. And the Kamikaze Kid versus Marshall X in the main event, where Kamikaze Kid is unmasked and is now known as Brandon Jordan.
Okay.
The
little brother of Chantel, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's a lot of talent on this card coming through. George Lydon, again, probably I'm a bit biased because I just interviewed him, but very, very good at what he does. And Dries for me, it's between Dries and Crowley of who's had the better year. It's a tie.
Yeah,
But,
well, we'll have to maybe speak to bringing you on for the awards session when we do it at the end of the year. It's going to be very difficult, but Breakout Superstar is going to be on there. So we'll look forward to that. I know Kamikaze, they got a big show. What was it? Frostfight 8. That's coming up on the 3rd of December. Chuck Mambo's just been announced against man like Dries for the pro title. And looks like you're going to have every top star there. You've got DK Cooper, Dan Maloney, Eddie Dennis, Chris Ridgway, Robbie X, Chantel Jordan, George Lydon, and MVK Yes. Guys, really thank you so much for joining us this week. Good to see you back here, Craig. Good to have you back down again. Of course, we had to have you on as a local councillor to understand the APPG better. And thank you for both of your insights.
Thank you, Clementine.
Oh yeah, big ups to Clementine. She defeated Charles Crowley last night and won her right to walk away. And it's absolutely heartbreaking. Best of luck to whatever she does next. So even though she's not in wrestling anymore, go support Clementine. But remember, support British wrestling, support independent wrestling, support European wrestling. Just support wrestling. And remember one thing, don't feed the trolls.